on the radio.
WZAB, Sweetwater, South Florida's only entrepreneurs station, is 880 The Biz.
Money never sleeps, pal.
The following is paid for by IMIC Incorporated.
The Cure with Aimee Cabo is brought to you by IMIC Research. Life can bring many difficult situations: domestic violence, addictions, poverty, and even sexual abuse by your loved ones.
And thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Aimee Cabo, and this is The Cure. Our show is available live on radio through the app called The Cure, our website, aimeecabo.com, Aimee with an I, why, I don't know, and it also ends with EE. On Roku, look for The Cure, or Android TV under The Cure. Later, the show will air on Sirius XM Channel 131, Sundays at 5 p.m., and as a podcast. We created the show as a safe space and to show that there is hope after going through difficulties, despite any suffering, no matter what type, as I have come to find out that no one is exempt from suffering, and at one point in their life or another, or could still be suffering. And it's okay. We're here for each other. I'm trying to use testimonies so that hopefully we can help. And I'm inviting professionals and inspirational speakers that can help with suggestions. As a survivor, I hope to inspire others, encourage transparency, and find strength in knowing that those who suffer are not alone, and those that heal against insurmountable odds do exist. Today we will discuss the important role sleeping has in our lives. And our special guest is Patricia Fa. Dr. Fa is a published author and a nationally known licensed psychologist expert from WebMD, with experience in most areas of mental health for over 30 years. She has consulted to pharmaceutical and communication firms, is a member of the American Psychological Association, SAG, AFTRA Union, and a biography in Who's Who in the World. She has also been a disability consultant, was a board member of the NJBD of Psychological Examiners, board member of Bergen Pines Hospital, and a psychiatric preceptor for UMDNJ, the Medical School of New Jersey. Dr. Fa, thank you for being with us today. Welcome to The Cure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you. The pleasure's ours. Dr. Fa, it's very interesting. I know that you've had exactly 30 years of studying this, and you've come across some really interesting findings when it comes to studying sleep. Would you like to share with us what's one of the most unexpected things you've learned about the importance of sleep?
Well, I think one of the really exciting and unexpected findings was that when we go to sleep, our brain actually shrinks in size. Now that sounds a little frightening to some people, but actually it's a good thing. What it does is the brain is very much in some ways like a sponge. And during the day, while you're doing whatever you are doing, if you're out gardening or you're driving your car or you're walking down the street, you're talking to a neighbor, whatever you're doing, you are creating material, metabolic waste, we call it, in your brain cells. And when you go to sleep at night, that's the time the brain has to clean out all of that stuff. So it squeezes down to push out all that stuff into a system that we didn't even know before that exists. and it cleans it, it gets it ready for the next day, and it's a miracle. It's like something you don't have to work on. It does it automatically, and it really helps you in so many ways. We don't even know all the ways yet, but sleep and shrinking brains, and actually a new brain the next day, a new cleaner brain ready for the day and ready for the activities in which you want to engage.
So almost as if we recharge when we sleep. It's a recuperation period. Like if you connect your cell phone, we get battery and we have energy for the next day. That kind of thing.
Right. Yes, absolutely. The one thing that it really does also is it helps us to bring some of the the entire body. It brings all of the body's activities, these unconscious activities, under control and begins to allocate to the different parts of the bodies and the different organs different tasks that must be done as you sleep. And one of the tasks that it does is it helps the insulin in your body work the way it's supposed to work, unless you're not getting enough sleep. And if you're not getting enough sleep, what happens then? Your brain starts releasing what's known as a stress hormone. It's called cortisol. And cortisol is, you might say, the enemy of insulin because it stops insulin from working the way it should. We believe that's the reason that people who have sleep-related difficulties may also develop diabetes. And we have seen lots of research that has shown that people who have jobs that require them to be on schedules that disrupt their sleep, such as nurses or fire persons, police personnel, all of them, they have higher rates of autoimmune disorders, just like diabetes. In fact, the nurses, unfortunately, and it was a very large study, it was 10,000 nurses, the nurses have higher incidence of breast cancer, and they think that sleep may play a role. So if you were going to do anything, I would say make sure you sleep tonight.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, that's sometimes easier said than done. We're airing live from Miami, where we're going to be weathering the storm together in prayer. Oh, yeah. And for whoever's affected, we still don't know. Mm-hmm. But, yes, so basically sleep deprivation, for whatever reason, you're saying can make you sick, whether it be diabetes or breast cancer. And so vice versa. Under the same token, it can help you stay healthy.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Correct?
If I said to you, there's one thing that you can do that's under your control that will make you a more creative person, a happier person, a healthier person, someone who may be able to avoid Alzheimer's disease, you would say to me, okay, what's that one thing? And I would say there's one word.
How many hours of sleep?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my question now. How many hours of sleep do I need to get there?
Yeah, how much sleep?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, usually we say about 7 hours. Now, that's pretty much determined individually, but I would say not 4, not 3, the way some people seem to boast. Oh, I don't need to sleep at night. I can work on 3 or 4 hours. Well, I would have to question that, but sleep is generally about 7 hours. Now, children require, especially babies, require much more sleep. And they think that is because of the size of their brain and the way it has to clean itself out quickly. It needs more sleep to do that. So we know that it can vary. I mean, children can sleep up to 10 hours a day, and that's not bad because it may actually be very good for them. So we have to look at sleep as an individual matter, but as a rule, for adults, 7 hours.
And is there such a thing as too much sleep? Could it do the inverse? Could it make us sick if we do?
Well, there's a big controversy going on right now, and it has to do with sleeping and Alzheimer's, and it has to do with napping. Now, they have just done a recent study that said that older persons who sleep a lot during the day and then can't sleep at night, there's a lot of sundowning, it's called, can't sleep at night, that's because the daytime nap does something with their normal sleep cycle and may even affect a hormone in the brain that's necessary for regulating sleep at night. So they are concerned that elderly people, if they want to take a nap, maybe only a half an hour, maybe an hour at most, but be careful about the amount of daytime sleep. We know that corporations now have said, look, naps are a really good thing. And we have found that after a 20-minute nap or so during the daytime at work, which is, by the way, sanctioned, and the Japanese have been doing it for quite a few years
and
now.
And Europe has it.
Yeah, they say, okay, 20 minutes, go to the break room or sit at your desk or whatever, 20 minutes sleep, come back, and they find that people are much more creative, much more refreshed, much more willing to engage with their co-workers. So it's not a really clear path here on the amount of sleep during the day and whether naps are really good for you, but they probably are good, but in moderation.
So a power nap is okay, like a little cat nap, I would say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. And, I used to work at a place where all of them were editors, and every single day at like about 12:30 or so, the man who sat at the desk across from me would put his feet up on the desk, put his head back, and for 20 minutes or so, he took a nap. And that was a long time ago. And it really worked very well for him. So people have been doing it for a long time. If I told you that there's probably two people that everybody knows about, but one thing they don't know about is their sleep habits. And you're down in Florida, and this person spent a lot of time in Florida, and that was Thomas Edison. People have, go to the Edison home, right? And you go to the Edison laboratory down there, which they have just refurbished. Before, I think it was a little better. You got more of a better idea of how it worked. Well, Thomas Edison had cots all over the place, and all day long, he took 20-minute naps constantly. He kind of kept it quiet, but he did. And his poor workers, he wouldn't allow them to nap, and he would work them overtime. As a matter of fact, there was a book written around, 1920 or so, and they talked about to keep his workers up and not sleeping, he would bring in a brass band and have it play in the laboratory.
Wow.
I don't know how anybody does that, but that's what he did. Leonardo da Vinci, probably one of the world's greatest minds, who was a true Renaissance man, never slept. He only slept at 15 to 20-minute naps 24 hours a day. Never lay down for a 7-hour sleep.
Basically, what you're trying to say, it doesn't matter how you get your 7 hours of sleep, as long as you get 7 hours of sleep.
Could be, yes, very well could be.
And you're saying at least 7 hours. It's okay if you sleep 8 or 10, or if you sleep 12, it's too much.
It's not bad. It's not bad. And every once in a while, give yourself the luxury. Why not? You're not going to do any damage to yourself.
I love it.
As long as you don't need to go to work. Hi, Dr. Fa.
Look at that, Bobby joined us. How nice.
It's a fascinating topic, and I think we're really only exploring the brain. To me and to a lot of other people, is still the final frontier. It's not the universe. It's not space. It's the space between our ears. We still don't know enough about put it. It is holding its mysteries back, and every time we find a new thing, it is shocking because it's been there in front of us. They just, maybe 2 years ago, they just discovered
definitely something looking into. For those that are just tuning in, I'm your host, Aimee Cabo, and this is The Cure. Today is focusing on sleep and the importance of sleep in our lives. We're joined by Patricia Fa. I'm your host, Aimee Cabo, and we will be back with Patricia Fa. This is Beautiful by Ed Sheeran.
On a Saturday night in the summer, sundown and they all come out. Lamborghinis and they rented Hummers. The party's on, so they're heading downtown. Everybody's looking for a come up, and they wanna know what you're about. Me in the middle with the one I love it. We're just trying to figure everything out. We don't fit in well, 'cause we are just ourselves. I could use some help getting out of this conversation. You look stunning, dear, so don't ask that question here. This is my only fear, that we become beautiful people. Top designer clothes, front row fashion shows. What you doing, who'd you know? Inside the world of beautiful people. Champagne and roll our nose, beating up some broken homes. Surrounded but still alone. Let's leave the party. That's not who we are. We are not beautiful. Yeah, that's not who we are. We are not beautiful. True for hours last night and we made it nowhere. I see stars in your eyes when we're halfway there. I'm not fazed by all the lights and flashy cameras, 'cause with my arms around you, there's no need to care. Don't fit in well, we are just ourselves. I could use some help getting out of this conversation here. You look stunning, please don't ask that question here. This is my only fear, that we become beautiful people. Top designer clothes, front row fashion shows. What you doing, don't you know? Inside the world of beautiful people. Champagne and roll up nose, clean up some broken homes. Surrounded but still alone. Let's leave the party. That's not who we are.
Life can bring many difficult situations: domestic violence, addictions, poverty, and even sexual abuse by your loved ones. The issue is not stay there, but to overcome all obstacles and show that with the love of God, your husband, and your family, you can succeed. Love is the answer, God is the cure, reveals from a very sincere and honest position Aimee Cabo's life, a warrior who didn't give up and achieved the dream of her life. You can get to know more about her and her story on www.godisthecure.com or buying her book on Amazon.com.
If you suffer from persistent depression, call Neurosciences Medical Clinic to schedule a free consultation for new effective FDA-approved treatments such as intranasal ketamine or Neurostar TMS, a no-medication treatment. Neurosciences Medical Clinic. Call now, 786-600-7005. Neurosciences Medical Clinic, 786-600-7005, 786-600-7005.
And now we continue with Aimee Cabo and The Cure on 880 The Biz.
Welcome back to the show. For those that are just tuning in, I'm Aimee Cabo, and you're listening to The Cure. If this is your first time tuning in, we are joined by Patricia Fa, and we're talking about sleep issues. Dr. Fa, We spoke about naps and that naps were good for us. What are some more interesting things that you can tell us? Is there such a thing as a good sleep position?
Well, there's a lot of interesting information that you can get in my book, which is Sleep, Insomnia, Stress, What You Don't Know Can Hurt You. And one of the things that I would say is many people don't realize that they can actually improve so many areas of their lives. They can improve their ability to learn, they can improve memory, they can learn new skills, and one of the things that you can do, let's say you're going to go for a nap or you're going to go to sleep at night, one of the best things you can do is read material that you want to learn and remember just before you go to sleep. This is for anybody. You don't have to be a student. You can be anyone, because we know that when you go to sleep, your brain begins to take that information and put it into memory banks and form new connections so that when you wake up, it's going to be a new you in very subtle ways. But if you do that on a regular basis, you are going to find something wonderful is happening for you. So naps are great. Sleep is great. Don't give it a bad rap. You know, if you're sleepy, take a little nap. If you're going to bed at night, I would say try to go to bed at the same time every night. Try to put yourself on a schedule. Try to get up the same time every morning. And that's an interesting point, too. We're finding out now, talk to your relatives. Find out if they have a natural time to get up in the morning, and you will find it's probably genetic. We're not sure. But you will find that they say, oh, yeah, I wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't need an alarm clock. I've never needed an alarm clock. Your body has a natural biorhythm.
Oh, yeah, 3 and 5.
Right. It tells you, okay, it's time to get up. Let's go. You know, you can't fight it, but you try to get it as much sleep as you need. You got to get that 7 hours. So if you're going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning naturally, well, then maybe you've got to go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night. That's not bad. That's okay. You know, being on a schedule actually helps your body. In the long run, you are going to be doing good things for yourself. And isn't that what all of us want to do?
Right, and if we're lucky, we get tired when it's time for us to go to sleep, and we wake up when it's time for us to wake up. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Right.
And how about kids? When it comes to kids and school-age kids, could sleep deprivations mimic symptoms of ADHD? And could this be one of the recently?
There is a very well-known, highly respected, prominent psychiatrist, Dr. Alan Francis, who writes for Psychology Today, that is a former director at Duke University Medical Center. He's a great guy. And he says, you know, too many kids are being diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit disorder, and they're being given medications for that. And we know these medications have very bad side effects, and one of them is it stunts children's growth. It also probably affects their brain in some ways. Wow. It causes them to gain weight. And suppose these children, instead of having a psychiatric disorder, really were sleep deprived. That's a good question.
Amazing, what an easy cure.
And sleep is the cure. You don't have to give, they have to do more research into this. You can't just say, the teacher's complaining this kid is active all day long. Well, of course, they're in a bad mood, they're tired, they're grumpy, they're active because they haven't gotten enough sleep. So what are schools doing that is either bad or good? One of the bad things is they're opening schools very early so that kids have to get there at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
We have to remove their phones at a certain time. Just remove the phone, they get bored, they fall asleep.
Right, that's just the wrong thing to do. Children are children. We'd send them to pediatricians because they are not adults. Their brains are not adult brains, and they won't be until they're over the age of maybe 25 or 26. They're still developing their brains. So we are expecting these kids to act the way adults do, and we can't do that to them because their brains are not ready to go to sleep until probably 11 o'clock at night. That's when this sleep hormone called melatonin, which people are unfortunately giving to their kids to make them sleepy or using for themselves. You can buy it over the counter. I'm not recommending it. But that's when that kicks in for kids, 11 o'clock at night. How are they going to get 7 hours sleep if you're going to wake them up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for school? You can't. So schools have to begin to start later because they have to recognize there's a biological reason that these kids need to stay up later, get up later, and go to school later instead of taking psychiatric medications. You know? I mean, we just have to begin to come to terms with that.
I see, because I know my son's high school opens earlier than my daughter's elementary.
Right.
So I see where you're coming from.
Look how maybe the next big trials will be against the pharmaceutical companies for ADHD medications.
Well, you know, too much ADA medication is being prescribed.
But it's superly overdiagnosed and misdiagnosed.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Just like bipolar disorder is being overdiagnosed in young children at as young as 3 years of age.
Wow.
How can you tell me in good conscience that a child of 3 is bipolar?
From sleep deprivation?
No, nothing to do with sleep.
If you've ever been with a 3-year-old, you know they act out.
Yes.
That's normal, you know? And why do they do that? Because there was a guy who worked at Harvard Medical School who suddenly decided that, oh, well, this was very good. And he went out and he started telling all these physicians, well, no, we have to start looking for bipolar disorder and giving these children medication. No, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's
incredible.
Good. You know, these evaluations have to be done very carefully. They have to be done by experienced people, and you have to use the most conservative things before you jump to other kinds of things.
At least the least invasive. I mean, and it's not just that. How about a symptom that we all suffer from, like, let's say, anxiety or stress? I was doing some reading of one of your articles that says that adequate sleep reduces anxiety. So do you have any suggestions for us? For us that may be anxious before falling asleep, for example, that we can get there?
Exactly. Anxiety is normal. It's not bad. It's bad when it gets out of control.
When it becomes stress.
Exactly. Anxiety can be handled very easily with anybody out there who wants to do something right now about helping themselves with anxiety. You just have to learn to do relaxation breathing. Go to my website, drfarrell.net. I have a video that shows you how to do it, and within 3 minutes you will be breathing so that you will be relaxing. And you can do it throughout the day. You could do it anywhere you are. You're standing in an elevator waiting to go someplace. You're waiting in the line to go to the bank or whatever. You're walking down the street. It'll take you 2 to 3 minutes, and you will relax. So try that. That's a conservative measure. Try meditation if you want. It's an excellent way to help yourself. You know, there are ways we need to learn to naturally help ourselves. And I know that your program is very involved in helping people see how religion in their lives can certainly help them. And I am a big believer of that, too. If prayer helps you, do it. Do whatever helps you. If you believe in a higher power and God, that is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that. You help yourself as you can.
And also, if you have positive lifestyle changes, that could probably promote a good night's sleep.
Absolutely.
But
And one of the things you need to do that I mentioned in one of my other books, How to Be Your Own Therapist, one of the things everyone needs to do, and it's very simple, you need to begin to say no. N-O.
Don't believe the lie.
Don't always agree to do everything that people want or that they ask you to do. Think about it. Why are you constantly being used like some kind of doormat? You're agreeing to do everything. No.
Well, that's exactly what I want to talk about when we return. I want to talk about nightmares, and I want about your book, How to Become Your Own Therapist, Step by Step. Sounds excellent. For those that are just tuning in, I'm your host, Aimee Cabo, and this is The Cure. You can listen every Friday at 2 p.m. After this, we will return with Patricia to discuss nightmare. This is River by eBay.
Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul again. Carry away my dead leaves. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Sink my pains and complaints. Let the river take them. River, drown them. My ego and my blame. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Those old means so ashamed. Let the river take them. River, drown them. Come to your river. I will come to your river. I will come to your river. Come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul again. Carry away my old leaves. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Sink my pains and complaints. Let the river take them. River, drown them. My ego and my blame. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Those old me's so ashamed. Let the river take them. River, drown them. Come to your river. I will come to your river. I will come to your river. Come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul again.
Life can bring many difficult situations. Domestic violence, addictions, poverty, and even sexual abuse by your loved ones. The issue is not stay there, but to overcome all obstacles and show that with the love of God, your husband, and your family, you can succeed. Love is the answer, God is the cure, reveals from a very sincere and honest position Aimee Cabo's life, a warrior who didn't give up and achieved the dream of her life. You can get to know more about her and her story on www.godisthecure.com. or buying her book on Amazon.com.
If you suffer from persistent depression, call Neurosciences Medical Clinic to schedule a free consultation for new effective FDA-approved treatments such as intranasal ketamine or NeuroStar TMS, a no-medication treatment. Neurosciences Medical Clinic. Call now, 786-600-7005. Neurosciences Medical Clinic, 786-600-7005, 786-600-7005.
And now we continue with Aimee Cabo and The Cure on 880 The Biz.
We're back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Aimee Cabo, and this is The Cure. You can listen to The Cure Fridays at 2 p.m. live. It also replays Sundays at 5 p.m. on Sirius XM Family Talk Channel 131 or on The Cure app. We are joined today by Patricia Fa, and we're talking about the importance of sleep. Dr. Fa, I wanted to talk about, because a lot of people, it's more and more often that I hear of people that they struggle from nightmares. I understand that most of us have learned to deal with things that come across us during the day, but what do you do with nightmares? And could it interfere with adequate sleep?
Some people believe that nightmares are actually a form of stress that has developed during the day and then comes out at night. Stress is not something that anybody should think nothing of, because if we know one thing, we know that stress kills people. It contributes to high blood pressure. It contributes to a breakdown in the body. And if you have prolonged stress, you will be in very bad physical shape. So one thing you want to do is try to help yourself during the day so that you may not have those nightmares. Now, for some people, they may have the nightmares because they have been through horrendous experiences and they need to go to therapy to get some help with that. However, they need to learn how to bring themselves down, to calm themselves during the daytime. And as I said, one of the things that you do is you try to get the sleep you can. Another thing that everybody is recommending, and these include psychiatrists and physicians and therapists, everybody has been or should be including this in their treatment techniques, and that is you should be getting some form of exercise every day. Now, when I say exercise, I don't mean you have to go to the gym. I don't mean you have to use a Stairmaster or you have to be on a treadmill.
Take your dog for a walk.
You can, excuse me?
You can take your dog for a walk or clean the house yourself.
Exactly, that's it. And that's the wonderful part of having a dog. You have to take them out for walks. You have to go for exercise.
Hey, and everybody has a house. They can clean it themselves.
Absolutely. If you live in Florida, you probably have a little dog. And that's one of the best things you can do for your physical and mental health, because we know that exercise doesn't just help the muscles. The muscles have been found to not just be like rubber bands that help you move your body more efficiently. They are producing hormones. They are producing materials we still don't know enough about that controls your mood and your body's healthiness. So if you just do some exercise, just walk the dog 3 times a day, which is what you're going to do anyway, you are doing a great favor for yourself, and you are helping your health. Wonderful thing.
And I didn't even know I was doing the right thing by helping for my husband's, by waiting for my husband to get home to help me mop every day. I didn't know that. I was helping him sleep.
Wow, thank you so much, Aimee. I really appreciate that. I really do. Now I'm going to be like so happy every day. It's like, thank you, Dr. Farrell.
There's a good thing in every good deed that people do. See, I knew it.
Yeah, every day. I mean, and if you wanted to do a little something, you wanted to do a little bit more exercise, a little bit more strengthening, you could ask anybody who's an expert in that area. Many people will say, just get a 1 or 2 pound weight, and you can just do little arm exercises. Some people say,
toddlers and babies are great for that.
Don't even bother with that. Just take a can of vegetables or whatever you have in the house and use that a couple of times to lift it up. That's
a watermelon.
Right. There are exercises you can do without even thinking they're exercises. So instead of sitting on the couch and watching...
Let's say you're calm all day long.
Okay.
You're so calm. And then you fall asleep, not thinking anything, nothing heavy in your mind because you trust God and everything. But then you wake up in a bed full of sweat.
And you feel what?
And is that related to nightmare?
Mm-hmm. You wake up, in other words...
So if waking up in sweats is related to a nightmare, and you don't feel stressed, then are nightmares preventable? Can they be reduced, increased, or even avoided altogether?
That's a hard question to answer. And I think you would have to ask a sleep expert on that. And they might say that, you know what, maybe you have a sleep disorder that hasn't been diagnosed. I can tell you, I have gone to look at sleep laboratories where they have them all over the country now. Every major hospital has a sleep medicine unit. And they have people come in and they have them stay overnight and they hook them up and they have all kinds of stuff. They make all kinds of readings. I went to the one up at Cornell Medical Center in New York and I saw what they did. And they find out that these people, many people don't even know it, that they have sleep apnea. Now, sleep apnea usually is in men over the age of 50 who are overweight, but anybody, including women who are not that heavy, can have sleep apnea. We don't know why it happens, but somebody can be awakening up to 500 times a night, and they wake up choking. They feel like their throat actually does close down, and they choke because their brain mechanism says, hey, you're not getting enough oxygen. Hey, come on, breathe. And so they wake up, and in the morning they feel terrible. But are nightmares associated with that? Very possible. One of the things they're recommending now, which is kind of interesting, if you don't want to go and get one of the apparatuses, you can go, I think anybody should go for a sleep evaluation if you're really having sleep problems. That's the thing to do.
Well, other than sleep evaluations, reasons for waking up in sweats and having nightmares could be PTSD. People who have PTSD do have these. I mean, not that often, I would think, but I mean, at least for me, it's every once in a while.
Right.
So if that's the case, there is treatments that is for PTSD. Could these treatments be effective in reducing the occurrence of nightmares? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, I don't know. I think one of the things that should be avoided is taking sleep medication on any kind of a prolonged basis. That is a dangerous thing to do.
Well, I'm talking about not medication. There's other things that
there's a lot of reasons you could have nightmares, as you said.
That's not so invasive.
There could be physical reasons. Women have them, certainly, when they get night sweats and things like that. People have it because they've had terrible things that they've gone through in their lives, and those things come back to them while they're sleeping. And those need to be remediated with maybe a mental health or a physical health professional. That needs to be evaluated if it is coming on such a persistent basis and it's causing such difficulty. Waking up in the morning, you wake up in a panic or you feel terrible. I think that's something that's an indication that go for some help and see what you might be able to do. I wouldn't dismiss that entirely. I would say, take a look, see what might be done.
You know what I find works best, and it's very inexpensive?
Mm-hmm.
Bobby just puts his hand over my head at night and prays over me. And it's not that I don't have nightmares or I'm not going to have nightmares. Hey, that's life. Suffering is part of life. But at least, no more. The sweating is gone, thank God. And that helps too, because there isn't always a medical cure. Sometimes it just takes prayer.
Sometimes it's something that you can do for yourself. You're absolutely right. And you try whatever you can try, and you see if it works. And if it does, wonderful. And if it does, nobody needs to run. There's something called an iatrogenic illness. And you know what that means? That means an illness that's caused by the intervention of a medical or a psychological person. They can cause an illness in some way. You go for an evaluation and they start giving you a medication that's really not needed and maybe not good for you, and you get side effects. And now they're going to give you a side effect medication for the first medication they gave you. Now you're taking 2 medications.
Yes.
Is that a good thing to do? No. I know a woman a very delightful woman, who was referred to me by a physician, and he said she can't leave the house. She used to be able to go out shopping. She went with her friends. She had a very full life, and now all of a sudden she can't even go to the front door. So I went to her home because she couldn't come to the office, and I sat there, and the first question that I asked her was, have you had any change in any of your medications? And she said, yes. Last week, the doctor changed my medication for high blood pressure. I said, and what happened? She said, and all of a sudden, I was getting panic attacks. I can't even go to get the mail at the front door.
Wow.
I said, okay, please go back to the doctor and talk to him about the medication he's giving you, because I think maybe you're getting a side effect, and it's a panic attack. And sure enough, it was. And the next day, she was out with her friends to Atlantic City again. So, sometimes it's not good to change medications. Sometimes it's not good to take medications, and you have to take them with care, not casually. You don't take, even over-the-counter, you don't take things casually. You take everything, including aspirin. Aspirin has its problems. It's a wonderful medication. I'm not an expert in medical affairs, but it does have things that it can cause.
Probably the least medications you take, the better. And we only have a few minutes left,
absolutely.
So I wanted to talk to you about your book, How to Be Your Own Therapist, Step-by-Step Guide, Taking Back Your Life. Mm-hmm. And could you tell us?
Well, I think, one of the things, there's another thing that I would recommend. Besides learning to say no, stop saying to anyone, why? Why doesn't start a conversation with somebody? Why doesn't start a communication with somebody? Why put somebody's back hairs on edge? It causes them to be negative. So use what therapists use. Reframe the question if you want to know something, and say something like, tell me how to understand what you're telling me. Help me to understand what you're saying. Don't say why. Why did you do that? No. What was the reason that you were thinking about that led you to do that? It's a little longer than why, but it certainly will get you a better result.
It's worth the effort. It's certainly worth the effort. I mean, I know it takes longer to say, but it's certainly worth the effort.
But you want to get to a communication level that is comfortable for both of you, and you want to resolve a problem possibly in the most pleasant way possible. And anybody, I can tell you, I have talked to psychiatric patients who have been out of control and told me that they were hearing voices. And when I started speaking to them in a way that was not confrontational, which people unfortunately do, and didn't tell them, no, you're not hearing that, and just say, please tell me, what is it that's happening? Let me understand you. They became calmer, they talked to me, and it was much easier to communicate with them. You can communicate better with anybody that way. And that's the way to learn to be your own therapist. Learn to be a better communicator. Learn to not use the word why or to say yes all the time. Learn to be, you're important, you know. Learn to remember you're important. You're put on earth for a reason. And that could be to help others, but not to forget about helping yourself, because you are important. So you have to remind yourself sometimes that it's okay to say no.
Nice. I think you couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much, Dr. Farrell. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of the hour, but it was a pleasure to share this time with you and all our listeners. And a big thank you to our special guest, Dr. Patricia Farrell. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
And thank you, Boris, and the great Wanda.
Yay.
For more information on Dr. Farrell, it can be found on aimeecabo.com under guests. Please check it out and get one of her books, which sounds excellent. I'm Aimee Cabo, and this is The Cure. Thanks for listening. aimeecabo.com for previous shows. Until next Friday.